the 3DCoat donut. Hello everyone. This will be a quick rundown of how I created the famous Blender donut in 3DCoat. I used the sphere tool to block out the donut shape. The sphere tool is good for everything and it's super versatile. I recommend it. Not for donuts, but for anything basically. I use the pose tool to create a more pleasing displacement of that otherwise super round brush stroke that the sphere produces. And I'm trying to decide how to apply the icing. And I go with the sphere tool again. But there's many ways to do an icing layer on this pastry, so I might not recommend this as the best solution because it's a bit labor intensive. Anyways, I'm also using the fill brush in some cases to level the icing as if it were a separate thick layer. So I experimented with various techniques, but I don't know why, I'm just using it here. I turned this voxel into surface mode, and I'm using the pinch tool to refine the crispy edges of the icing. I think this is, again, not the most efficient way to do it. I just chose to do it like this for reasons unknown. I jump into Retopo already. I use Autopo and I use triangles because I like the nice homogeneous geo it produces. I think this is overkill. It's not a super low res, but I'm not making it a game ready asset. I'm just trying to create a tutorial for 3DCoat and hopefully popularize it because it's a good and fun software. Not even for creating like donuts or textured assets, but for various stuff. So we did the baking, and now the UVs are super inefficient. I would have laid them out in strips, but again, this is for the sake of the tutorial. Don't be like me, you're leaving a whole bunch of UV space unused, so that's a big no-no. Anyways, moving on, and I'm already trying to make a little bit of surface imperfections on the pastry using a stencil and making it crisp by tweaking the settings of the stencil, and the brightness contrast sliders, they do the job for that. Using the interface on the top, you can see I'm repositioning and scaling and rotating the stencil to get a desired variety in the pastry and the whole donut surface. So here I'm still experimenting with how I'm gonna go about and color the icing. I'm also using a roughness, a more glossy roughness, and then I decide to do a curvature map, which is good for conditional painting. And as you can see, I'm painting on concave areas right now. I chose not to use the fill, otherwise the icing, on the edges of the icing, you can see a really nasty red outline, which I didn't want, so I just went in with a brush and started painting the top of the icing. Well, I'm not saying that this is how a donut looks, I'm saying this is an artistic choice that I'm making. And obviously it's not a realistic donut. It's just a donut that I think will be good to probably show off 3DCoat's super capabilities. And yeah, well, I decided to fill the whole layer, as you can see, filling even the pastry and everything around it. And I'm trying to create a mask to eventually, you know, clip or just make the pastry visible again. Again, this isn't the most efficient way, it's just what I chose. But it's important to have fun. And in the process you can like almost come up with artistic, like look at this. This looks cool, this hard edge on a donut, like a designer donut. You know, not a real life donut, but some graphic design kind of funkiness with this hard edge. And obviously it's also straight as hell, so you know, just sometimes you come up with stuff that could look cool in a graphic design setting. So I'm doing the not too pleasant job of masking. I'm using a black color on the mask, so I'm clicked on the mask icon in layer 3 basically, and going around, and I'm just patiently masking the icing away. I think I'm adding thickness to this layer because I'm not quite satisfied with just having the normal map that has been baked. I want an extra edge on that icing. As you can see, this is very harsh, so I end up blurring it later on. Well, also I'm trying to, you know, tighten up the edges again inefficiently. But maybe this isn't a tutorial on how to you know, use the best techniques for this certain process, but we can go into that in other tutorials. This is just a narrated time-lapse, and I'm just trying to give 3DCoat a little bit of an audience, maybe. The more 3DCoat tutorials, the better. Guys, if anyone wants to help this team of developers continue development, then make 3DCoat tutorials. I'm still using 2024 version, but it suits my purposes. I'm holding out a little bit on upgrading, but as soon as I see it fit, I will upgrade. So here I'm using conditional painting again to create color variation on the pastry, on the bottom of the pastry. I mean, if this would be used in an animated scenario and it could be visible from multiple sides, then why not make the pastry look neat as well. So I'm kind of using these colors that bread and pastry do have. I press number 2, not on the numpad, but on the numeric keyboard to see what kind of actual albedo colors I have. Number 3 shows us the roughness channel, and I can see that the roughness on the pastry is just like a bland gray color, which I don't think is correct. So I basically go about and spice up the roughness as well. You know, variety in all of its forms is welcome in CG, so make stuff dirty and exciting, basically, instead of having really pure gloss or color effects. I'm just adjusting the lighting to get a better feel for this pastry. I'm also missing a couple of surface imperfections that actually protrude outwards and not only inwards. So that's what I'm trying to pull off, making the crispy stencil for it. And then I realized that I have to invert it to get those little, pebble-like dots, and then I also resize them. With one stencil you can get amazing variety if you just rotate, slide it, and scale it. It's interesting. So yeah, if you press number 1 on the numeric keyboard, you can see I'm smoothing this layer then, and you can see the depth data of the model. So I'm smoothing it, and I'm regenerating the curvature map, which is awesome. So you add in extra detail later on in the design process, and you can get a cool little regenerated curvature map later down the line. I don't know about other software that does this. So I'm pressing number 2 again on the numeric keyboard to see my true albedo, and yep, I think I'm kind of spicing it up. The sprinkles are still non-existent, so I think that's the next step that I'm gonna experiment with. I'm pushing the brush to have it some variety. You can vary the hue by each color stroke. So whenever you put down your brush, every single stroke will be a different color, which is super nice for this task especially. I'm not satisfied with how flat these are, and I couldn't really get them to be tube-like. I'm experimenting with all sorts of layer operations, but I think I end up using dots because the alpha of this particular brush is kind of a spherical alpha, and interestingly, if I put down a dot, then it looks, roundish. When I do a brush stroke, then it absolutely does not reproduce this pill-like. I would expect it to be a pill-like, like what sprinkles actually look like on donuts. That's what I was going for. Well, it didn't happen. And eventually I'm looking at it from several angles, doing a render, adjusting the environment light, and I think we're close to the final. There it is. Cheers.